We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
You keep me.
Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
I'm joined here by my co-host and author, Shaped by the Master's Hands.
How are you doing
Lolita
this
Robinson.
Sunday?
I'm doing well.
Okay,
I'm doing well.
yeah.
From pillar to post, coast to coast, I would say.
Last week I saw you were on your way to San Diego with your mother and with your daughter. So how did that go? She was
Last week, you asked me what I did last week. I don't know what I did last night.
I tell you, it goes so fast, but
it goes quick.
How was the ride down there? You were taking Zaylee back.
I was taking Zaylee back.
Yeah.
Well, luckily her mom met me halfway.
Okay.
So that worked out for me.
Good.
The drive wasn't too bad. But this weekend, I had to spend some time with my son, Sebastian.
Good.
Which
What's
was
going on
very
with him?
interesting because he's in the choir.
Okay.
He's in a men's ensemble
He
group.
sings?
Oh, he loves it too.
Oh, how wonderful.
So I had an opportunity to see one of his big concerts at his high school, and the whole family showed up.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I had the
I
opportunity.
didn't know that he
yeah.
sang.
And I had the opportunity to take his mom out. I go, let's all get together and go out to dinner together.
Mhm.
And it was just nice because, he started really opening up and telling us the things he remembers when he was younger, because I don't think he remembers me and his mom together as a
Right,
family.
because he was like
so small.
3, I think.
He was about 3 years
when,
old.
when you were going through that.
Yeah.
But isn't that beautiful how recovery is? God reconciles relationships.
Oh, yeah.
You're on good terms with each of your situations,
Yes.
How does that feel to be?
It feels great because I went to Bel Air Presbyterian Church for Brett Lewis, his Celebrate Recovery program, and I got a chance to give my testimony, and that was one of the things I mentioned.
Okay.
That I was going to have the opportunity later on that evening to go with my son and their family,
Right.
and see my ex, and to then afterwards, get together and have dinner as a family.
Right.
You know what? God is amazing because it's only
Yes,
God that
it
could have
is
done
God.
that and put that together.
And such brokenness. Without going into detail, I know you had a lot of despair.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
You were really down and you just didn't know, and God is taking you out. I know you're still waiting for him to bring the right situation for
Yes.
you, but he knows what he's doing.
I agree. And these are the little blessings that I talk about on the show and that
Yeah.
I talk about when I give my testimony. They're not peak highs,
No.
but I don't have the bottom lows anymore. It's just
Kind of mellowing out.
I have good days, some bad days, but then some good days, and it allows me to be even keeled and have that peace that we talk
Right,
about.
right.
And that peace for me is priceless.
Well, you know what? I don't think people realize it, because I sponsor a few ladies and things, and the goal to be well is average.
That's right.
Okay, and we don't want to be average in this nation.
Mhm.
We want to be first. We want to be top.
That's right.
But you know what? Average is here now. You can kick it up and be extraordinary, but that's not every day.
That's right.
Every day is kind of like if you can be copacetic and peaceful. So I'm glad. So Sebastian's not into martial arts anymore?
He hasn't been training with me for a year or two now, but he's going to start up wrestling.
Okay.
And once he creates that foundation,
All
I'll
right.
put him into MMA and maybe put him in a cage when he's about 18, 19.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, congratulations.
So a lot of peace, a lot of,
Yeah.
like you said, that even keel.
It's even keel. That's what recovery is. We're not to this and we're not to that.
That's right. That's right. So if you're tuning in with us, I want to thank you for being a part of the joy that we have in our house here on Joy in My House. I want you to know that you can follow us on Facebook /Joy in My House, become a fan, like the Facebook fan page, and receive up-to-date lineups of guests and information. You can also find us on Twitter.com /Joy in My House, and we have our Instagram page up. I
How's
want you
that
guys to
going?
go and follow. Or you can ask our intern here, Peter, because he's the one that
Okay.
manages it for
Okay,
me.
we got to have Peter in and give us an update what's going on. Peter's the man. He's getting all the shows organized and categorized. He's faithful, and I just love the guy.
Yeah, and I trust him a lot because I don't
Yes.
like to give out my passwords to my accounts, and he's been so faithful.
Well,
and to have that comfort.
Exactly.
Again.
Exactly. I think a lot of people show up and because it's not, real huge yet or whatever, and it's a slow pace growing. And hi, Van Eric, it's great to see you. People don't want to stay in the trenches, but that's how you build something.
That is, and that's what I talk
Yep.
about. Showing up to the gym, you gotta suit up and show up, or
That's
else
right.
God can't do the work. And I said that at Bel Air Presbyterian.
Yes. How did that go?
That was an amazing little thing because Brett has been so faithful starting up these Celebrate Recoveries. He
Yeah.
does one in LA, and then he does the one in Bel Air Presbyterian, and he has a codependency meeting now that he's a part of.
Yay.
He is just rocking and rolling.
Wow, we got to have him back on.
Definitely.
So what do you think about last week?
I was going to mention that
Yeah.
last week. Lex Lane, we had her. She's a
Wow.
rapper,
Yeah.
singer, woman of God, and
Yeah.
she's about 17 years old.
That's so
And
cool.
she said a mouthful.
She did. I'm just blown away by the youth.
And her giving back and wanting to be a part of inspiring the youth was, I think, such a positive thing, especially for my daughter to hear. My daughter was here with me last
Right,
week. And
she was.
for Zaylee to hear somebody at that age doing so much, I think it's inspirational for me.
Yeah.
Because at her age, I was out of control. I didn't want to know anything about helping anybody
Are
else.
you kidding? That's true, huh?
All my eyes were on me. And
Right.
that carried on through my adulthood, too.
Right.
So to have such a young person want to give back so much is such a positive and just inspiring thing for me.
Yeah, and you know what's so interesting is that they're young and they rap or they, sing, but everybody has an individual take on something. God is bringing something different for each person, and I know today I'm looking forward to...
Today we have an amazing guest, another
Yes.
young woman who's doing a lot of amazing things for anti-bullying. She's one of the ambassadors for the Tourette Syndrome Association,
Oh, I
one of the
can't wait to hear
youngest.
this. I can't
She's
wait.
an actress. She walks runway.
I can see. All these young... You know what? I guess I'm getting healthy because these young girls come in and I'm like, hey, okay, it's cool. It's the next generation.
That's
You know?
right.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for being a part of the joy that we have in our house here. This is Joy in My House. I want you to stay tuned. We're going to come right back with Haley Grip. And I want you to know you can follow us on Facebook, /Joy in My House. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Know that you can stream us live on any mobile device here on the network's website at www.latalklive.com. This is Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Closing on fancy, and my car ain't brand new, but there is joy in my house.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio,
with a touch of recovery.
a reality show where nothing is left unsaid,
And no one is insignificant who says it.
exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our new show, Gospel Rhythms Talk Live. Join us as we celebrate, promote, and elevate Christians and Christians in entertainment. So don't forget to tune in to Gospel Rhythms Talk Live exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio under R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is Gospel Rhythms on LA Talk Live, where we don't just talk about it, we are about it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. I'm joined here by recording artist Lolita Robinson.
Very glad to be here, and I like Herbert's lemonade. I need to say, I just had a nice sip, and it's delicious.
And our in-studio guest, Haley Grip. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I always like to let our audience and viewers know how we met. We met through Maya Jenkins. You were doing a sizzle reel for her and working with her on one of her filmings so she can promote herself as an actress. And I got a chance to talk to you a little bit, and you were very electric. You were very charismatic. And then you had a lot to say about this organization that you're a part of. But I follow you on Facebook. We became friends on Facebook, and I saw that you were doing a lot. you were a lot of the events that my friends are at that would ask me to go out and support, and I was like, oh, I just can't go to
You can't go
every
to all of them, yeah.
LA Fashion Week runway show. Throughout the week, there's 2 a day.
Is that where you guys met at the runway show?
No, we met through Maya Jenkins.
Okay.
But I kept following her and seeing her that she was at the same events that I would attend, or that.
Now, how does
I'd
she
get
know
invited.
Maya? So people kind of in the audience.
I don't know how did you meet Maya?
I was actually giving a speech, kind of sharing my story on Tourette's and anti-bullying at a Tourette syndrome event called Artistic Expressions. And Maya was there, and we just kind of clicked after.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Give people a little background here. Okay, you're gonna pick it up. So, you model also.
I do.
Okay, so you've got quite a few things going on in the midst of.
I am a jade of all trades, not a jack of all trades, a jade of all
I
trades.
love that. I never heard that before. That's pretty well said. And
Thank
you are
you.
beautiful jade too. So
Thank you.
I want to hear this because you know me, I'll get going and I want to. I want to follow you.
Well, I want the audience and viewers out there who are listening, who are tuning in maybe for the first time, and maybe some of your followers tuning in for the first time, to kind of hear your story.
Okay.
So we like to let everybody know your family of origin. Where did you grow up?
Born at St. Luke's Hospital in Altadena, California, and kind of born and raised in the Pasadena area. But I actually now live on both coasts, New York and LA.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I split my time between primarily Los Angeles, but I'm constantly flying to New York.
Well, was it a culture shock when you went to New York?
Um,
It's a whole different. It's beautiful. It's just. It's a whole different world, wouldn't you say? Or
I can say that, but I can also say the moment I stepped into New York City, I fell in love.
Oh, yeah.
And I can also say that I've lived in LA my whole life, and there's no place that feels more like home than New York.
oh, really?
Yeah, which
Okay.
is something that people usually don't say.
That's true.
Yeah, I
that's true.
think the opposite.
Yeah.
No,
How
I
did you
love
feel?
New York and I
Yeah.
love the energy, but I'm an LA boy.
Yeah, I am too. But it's beautiful that you are what we call bilingual. So you have to explain more as you get into
Well,
the
I did
story.
want to touch on, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do. I have a sister named Erin who's 27 and a brother named Brendan he'll be 25 in October.
Okay, so you're the baby.
Yeah, I'll be
Okay.
22 in August.
All right, very good. All right.
Well, I want to just go right into your story because I think
Okay.
I don't want to run out of time and let people out there who are listening and viewing know. How was school for you?
You know, many children actually grow up with a very nurturing environment. I bounced from school to school, always trying to run away from the bullies or trying to fit in. It's very difficult when you look, kind of cute on the outside, but you're ticking like a dog, or a tick is a bioneurological, or Tourette's is a bioneurological brain
Okay, so
disorder,
you-
and a tick on Tourette's is a movement or sound your body makes that it cannot control. So you can have any movement or sound, and I was literally barking and tapping, and it's hard to fit in. But in 7th grade, for the first time in my life, I actually experienced a teacher who was not willing to help me and who slandered me. Normally, I was used to teachers who didn't quite know how to help me, but they
Right.
did try. And on the second day of class, this teacher made it very clear that students with differences and disabilities were not going to be tolerated.
Oh my goodness.
Well, let's back
Yeah,
up real
yeah.
quick.
When did the symptoms start? Yeah.
So let's find out, when did you find out that you had
Yeah.
Tourette's? Or when were you diagnosed?
I was showing symptoms at age 8, but Tourette's is so unknown. 1 in every 100 kids has it, but only 1 in every 10,000 kids is actually diagnosed by a doctor. So I was actually diagnosed at age 10, and I can remember walking into the doctor's office. He told me to draw on a whiteboard so that he could observe me. My mom went with me. At this point, my mom was just hoping for answers.
Oh yeah. Is it hereditary?
It is genetic, but I actually got it from, I have relatives that have Parkinson's disease, and it's the exact opposite, where Parkinson's disease, you don't have enough dopamine in the brain, and Tourette's you do, so they think that the gene got swapped.
Okay.
But back to my diagnosis, the doctor within 10 minutes said to me, Haley, you have Tourette's syndrome, and you'll probably never have control of your body. My mom starts sobbing hysterically. and I look him in the eyes.
Yeah, what a thing to say.
And what I respond with is I tell him no.
Good for you. Good for you. That pronouncement over your life that this is just kind of like hopeless. So you stood up.
Yeah, I wouldn't accept that fate. And there's no cure. You can try different medications, different behavioral therapies, but a cure is so far off because every single person with Tourette's has a different variation or a different tic. So you could have identical twins that both have Tourette's, and they could have, you know, the different variations of the same tic, but never the same. So it's very, very difficult to target that. I actually mentor different teens with and without TS and help them go through this, because when you're not given much hope,
Oh my goodness. Yes.
and it's especially hard for the parents. Like, not being able to help your child is probably the scariest thing. I don't have children yet, but I'm an aunt. And just feeling helpless, there's literally nothing you can do except for be there for your child, be supportive, try to take them to the doctors, try the different medications, and really just pray.
So, like Hoel is asking you about the symptoms. What was something that a parent with a child, does it come when people like toddlers, or you get older when you see it? When do people recognize that maybe something's wrong?
You're born with Tourette syndrome, but signs actually don't show up until the ages of like between 5 and 9.
Okay.
To qualify or as having Tourette's, like in the diagnostic process, you have to have at least one motor and one vocal tic that lasts for at least a year.
Okay.
And you have to have them before you're 18. What often happens is someone that could have Tourette's has very minor Tourette's, so it's not noticeable, and then they could be diagnosed later because puberty hits and your hormones change and it changes everything,
yes.
or you go through a traumatic life event. But some people go their whole lives and never know they have Tourette's. I can honestly say I could be at Disneyland for a day, and by the end of the day, I could probably just pick out 8 people that have Tourette's.
Oh my goodness.
But, you know, it's the hardest thing because it's not socially right, and it's not acceptable to go up and be like, I think your child has Tourette syndrome. No parent wants to hear that in the first place, and no parent surely wants to hear that from some girl who looks 15 at
Right.
Disneyland.
You do.
So I almost...
What are the kids doing that you're saying? I'm just trying to.
they can do any motor or vocal involvement. So there's certain kind of generic ones, like
Okay.
it's very repetitive.
Like OCD?
Yeah, in an aspect, like there is
Okay.
a thing called tics of the mind, which is not an outward appearance. Whereas OCD, you do the same thing over and over because of a fear.
Okay.
Tourette's, you would do the same thing over and over, but you don't know why. You just have to do it.
Okay.
And,
okay. Good.
But it can also just, I mean, mostly, especially in a public place, it's more the motor, unless the kid is actually screaming out. I'm not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
notice little sounds.
Right.
And so it's more of that, just anything like twitching. My mom's a teacher, and luckily, because she's a teacher at an elementary school, she's able to talk to the specialist and be like, you need to take a closer look at this kid. So my mom has that too. Like
She's Tourette's? Or
no,
she
no,
has
no.
the ability
She
to-
has the ability to pick
see.
it out.
Okay.
Once you have Tourette's or are living or taking care of someone with Tourette's, it's very easy to identify the symptoms.
Okay. Very good. Thank
Well,
you
you
for
also
that.
talked, when you got diagnosed, you also got diagnosed with ADHD and obsessive
goodness.
compulsive disorder.
Yes, I did.
You are a miracle sitting here. I mean, I'm thinking he said you would never be able to control your body. You definitely have worked on.
I have.
That's a lot.
And let's
huh?
talk about that. What was your initial reaction for you? I know
Yeah.
you said that you told the doctor no, but how was your family's reaction once you got diagnosed?
You know, it's funny. We thought that having a diagnosis would be a relief. Like,
Yeah,
finally.
no, yeah.
And in a sense, it was. We finally knew what it was. But then finding out that I had something that really had very little hope, I set out to change that.
Good for
So when I give my anti-bullying speeches or educate others on Tourette's or mentor, it is not just it's not just education that I'm giving them. I'm giving them hope.
Yes.
I go to families that don't know what to do, have no idea. I recently had a family contact me, and you know, they were saying, "Oh, we think it's this and that," but he hasn't had a diagnosis. And I said, "Have you taken them to the doctor?" And she says, "No." And I said, "That's the first thing you need to do for your child, because it's the fear of having a diagnosis that
Right.
prevents. But the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be. And I can be that ray of sunshine and say, look, I am completely out of the ordinary, but my mom was there 100% of the time. And it was that support system. And, you know, there were points in my life where I was so weird. I only had one friend, but it was that one friend who stood by me
That is so
that
awesome.
helped to shape to the person I am today.
Well, let's talk about that.
Isn't that beautiful?
When you went to school, did you have a nurturing environment when you were at school when you first got diagnosed?
You were just going to regular public school, or was it a special school,
you
with
know,
special needs?
I've never been in special ed. I went to a Catholic school for K through 3rd, and then the first half of 4th grade I went to a public school. And this is the first time I've ever publicly spoken about this, but I had the first death threat of my life then. And it was from a 9-year-old, and of course, I didn't have a diagnosis then, but I was having really bad tics. It was a public school. I'd never been in a public school.
So that might have, can that upset?
And it was
like
a
you
brand
said?
new school, too, so it was
So
really
stress can bring it on,
unorganized.
too?
Stress is the biggest trigger.
Okay.
But I can say that this kid came from not a great home life. Dad was in jail, and he he actually pushed me down the stairs, and I got all bruised up. And then one day broke a girl's arm and said, I'm going to break your arm tomorrow. And we switched classes, and then there was another kid, so it was 2 at this school. And this kid just right from the start did not like me. Once again, not a great home life, and that's how I can just pray. And, you know, and he
Oh, my goodness.
said, you know, after a few months, he said, I'm going to kill you. And my parents took me right out of the school, and you know what happened is the next day he brought a gun to school, and he was shooting birds. And so it was my mother believing me, because nobody really, I mean, when you think about it, a 9-year-old, you know, it just like, but my parents took that very seriously. So from there, I went to like a very small school with like 30 kids, and it was kind of like a homeschooling environment, but still school enough, very small classes of like 5. And I went there for the second half of 4th and first half of 5th, and then transferred to another school, a Christian school, for the second half of 5th and 6th grade, and then landed at the worst school of my life for 7th and 8th grade. My desk was like a prison cell for 7 hours a day, and my teacher was like a warden.
That's the one you were talking about
Yeah,
who was very abusive to you.
Well, yeah, imagine
the-
going to school, and the only time someone talks to you is either when the teacher slanders you to the students and tells you, or tells the other students that you're contagious, so they avoid you like the plague. So you're only addressed by names that they call you, like freak or
A teacher
weird.
was.
Yeah, she was, and because she had a graduate degree, or in her master's, she was the best. It was a lower income Catholic school. The principal was on her side, and so I couldn't
Seeing that
even
you had
tell.
disabilities.
We told him right from the
my
start, but I couldn't
goodness.
even seek help within the school because the principal just didn't believe me and was so happy to have this amazing teacher, so-called amazing. And you know what I did is I just put up a wall to protect myself from the pain, from the anger, from the hate. I didn't like the feeling of hate. It's so negative. And, you know, for those 2 years, I didn't smile. I actually forgot how to smile.
Well,
And
your mother, she's been pretty supportive. There was nothing they could do at that
there
point.
was nothing. They called it being strict. But this is why there was nothing they could do, is until she bullied me academically. I wrote an essay of how my family, since I was born, has been volunteering at a domestic women's and children's, battered women and children's shelter. And I won. I beat out 9,000 students.
Oh, my goodness.
But because I
Haley.
forgot to bring an extra copy, and I said, I'll go to the nurse and like call my mom, who will leave her job because I'm so terrified. She tried to fail me, and I had an A in the class, and my mom got that overturned. She went straight to the archdiocese. But there were no laws to protect against the discrimination at the time. And
That
it's
seems so
Well-
recent because you're young.
and
You mean
it
within the Catholic
happened-
Church?
Let's see, it happened like about 10 years ago.
Okay.
9 years ago.
All right.
8 and 9 years ago because of that. And the fact of the matter is I had disabilities, and she was bullying me and emotionally and verbally abusing me because of those. But at the time, I mean, you could say it's just being strict. And so now,
Being strict against what? Yeah, I'm sure you had some
Well, no,
questions.
I wanted to touch on that. How
Yeah.
did her
Yeah, what she,
being strict in her so-called curriculum, how did that affect you?
Yeah.
Because that stress, that compounded stress, that emotional battery causes triggers.
I can honestly say that I experienced the worst symptoms of Tourette syndrome in those 2 years.
so you must have been screaming out and saying things.
Screaming out, and I mean, but then throughout the day, I would try to hold them in. And this is the thing of what happens. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys this. What happens when you hold in a sneeze or a cough for a really long time?
Well, when you do it, it's enhanced.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly,
So
yeah.
after a while, it has to come out, but it comes out like an explosion.
Yeah.
So what would happen is I would try my best and try to hold them in, or at least make them as minimal as possible, because anytime I did it, she would stare at me and draw attention with the whole class. Like, class, look at what Haley just did.
So she's not. Is she ignorant to Tourette's? Or
No.
She's thinking that you were just being a class clown.
Neither. She was just
She's just horrible.
mean.
Just horrible.
And
Wow.
I think she was very unhappy in her own life.
Yeah.
But, you know, after holding them in all day, I would literally, at 3 p.m., my mom would open the car door, I'd get in the car, and I would just let it all out. But then imagine, it takes so much energy to hold it in that I could barely do my homework. I was, not only when you're just having these crazy tics is it hard to do the homework, but you're completely drained. You know, I had different tutors because finally my mom just couldn't take it.
Yeah. I mean, what happened? Did she eventually pull you out of that class, or pull you?
There
out
was
of that?
no other class. It's just
Right.
that one, and I had to, and I had her for 2 years, for 7th and 8th
And
grade.
she never, even in the 8th grade, she didn't mellow out at all.
No, you know, that tested.
What did you feel about God at that point? I'm sure you got some of those in there.
It tested my faith.
Oh goodness.
You know, I couldn't understand why someone could be so cruel, and it wasn't even my fault. You know, I tried to fit in I really made a true effort, and in 7th grade I even ran for student council because she was the head of it, to try to please her. And I later found out that she had sabotaged my run, and there was just no pleasing this woman. And I'm the type of person where I don't have any enemies. I don't think there's one person besides maybe her who never didn't like me. The problem is people want to not like me or something. Like, for instance, this is what happened on set recently.
Movie
So there's
set.
on a photo shoot.
Okay.
And there was this other model, and she just like was giving everybody a hard time, a bit of a diva. And you know, I understand if she's doing shoots every day, it's exhausting and you're tired.
It's not as fun as people think, huh?
But she was really giving everybody a hard time, and she was literally going up to everybody and nitpicking. So she comes up to me, and I'm trying not to laugh, trying to think, oh God, what can she say about me that I'm not as thin as her? Because I know that's true. I'm healthy though. I'm not.
There you go.
I'm not. I eat.
You're beautiful.
And
You're beautiful.
and she goes up to me and she goes, "Ugh, you know what? You know what's wrong with you?" And I go, "You know what? I'm actually not sure. Would you please enlighten me?" And I think that infuriated her a little more. That wasn't even mean. I wasn't quite sure what was wrong with me. I mean, I know I have Tourette's, but, and she goes, "You're just too nice. You know what? That's your problem. You're too nice."
what
And
is
she
that?
literally stomps off. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, if that's the worst thing she can say
Isn't
about
that
me.
beautiful?
But
Well, why
then,
did people allow her to go around and just?
I mean, it was kind of like they had written her a really big check, and we just all had to suffer, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Wow.
That's a good, a good insult. Okay.
You have a good outlook in life.
Really
and I
good,
want
yeah.
people to really kind of hear this part of your story, because I think this is one of the most difficult parts, even though
More coming.
yes.
Oh, jeez.
And for her to have that smile and that peace
Yeah.
about her, it says a lot.
Yeah.
Because you had a tragedy in your life and in your family's life.
I did. But actually, before that, I want to drop
ahead.
on how I fought back positively, because that actually happened a year before.
Before,
the tragedy.
okay, go ahead.
You know, after dealing with this teacher, I had this wall up. And so my Tourette's, I was still struggling from it. I was having a hard time making friends because I couldn't trust. And finally, at age 16, which was 3 years after, I finally thought to myself, why am I unhappy? What's holding me back? And when I thought about it, I realized I still had this big grudge and resentment and almost
hate you were talking
hatred.
about, yeah.
Hatred. And to this day, I don't hate anybody. I still couldn't hate anybody. And you know what I decided? As I said, it's not fair she's still controlling my life. That's not right. And I decided to forgive her and to let it go. And then my Tourette's decreased by about 70%.
Oh, you're kidding.
As soon as I let go of that negativity. But then as soon as everything started to get better, what I did is I thought, you know what? I want to make it so this happens to nobody else. So I decided to fight back positively. And I trained as an ambassador for the Tourette Syndrome Association.
How did you do that?
I was
You contact the
flown
foundation?
out. Yeah, well, I submitted, you submit an application with an essay, and I submitted an essay of at a place where I was prior to forgiving my bullies and a place after. So it was like a dark essay and then just this amazing ray of hope. And so they flew me out to Washington, D.C., and my mom went too. And I trained. I learned everything there was about Tourette's. I thought I knew.
How do you train? What does that look like?
It's kind of like you're in almost like a conference room with 30 other kids with Tourette's. And that was the first time. I had never grew up with anybody with Tourette's, so it was the first time. And of course, I'm the only one whose tics are very minimal, like unnoticeable. So the first thing, everybody's like, do you have Tourette's? Yes, I have Tourette's. I'm just having a good day. That's why you don't see my tics. And, you know, it was like a domino effect. And people don't realize this with Tourette syndrome is oftentimes what will happen is you'll see someone else with Tourette's and you'll pick up their tics. And usually they'll only last a few days.
You mimic each other?
You mimic each other. So imagine the first person on the far left.
Right.
And then the person on the back right. That person on the back right, nobody wanted to sit there on the second day. He had a variation of everybody's tick. Because the first person would be like, second person would be like, woof, woof. And the third person would be like, yeehaw. And then the fourth person would be like, woof, woof, yeehaw. And then do his own tick.
Oh, you're kidding.
So the poor kid at the end of the room.
That really does happen.
Yeah, or just like certain ones. I've known people with Tourette's who will see something on TV and repeat it, or hear something, and you know, usually it lasts a few days, and then you go back to your tics. But it is hard. So, anyways, you were in the training. Yeah, so the training, and then they helped to give me the tools. So they helped set up a meeting with the senators, and they had me, read over, and, I wanted to get a law passed that would prevent teachers from bullying students with disabilities.
You would think that's a non-brainer.
Yeah, and so... I had to look over this and make sure it was everything that I believed in, because I don't do anything that's not 100%. I will not do something half job. That's like giving someone a broken Christmas present. So I was like, I love this, and let's move forward. So we went, and I met with 3 senators, and I got them all to sign. Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, my goodness.
David Dreyer and Barbara Boxer.
Oh, yeah.
And we got the IDEA Act passed. And this, of course, in the state of California, prevents teachers from abusing and bullying students with disabilities. So now if any teacher does what they did to me, there will be repercussions.
Well, were you able to go back and address this teacher? Is she still
you know what? I don't even want, she actually, karma came back to her, and she went on to be a principal. And within 18 months, she actually got fired because every parent in the school signed a petition to get her to leave because she was mean. So it comes back to you, and I don't know where she is today, and I don't care. I honestly, I want, this is what I can say, and this is because of the person I am today. I would have never said this at 16 or before. All I want for her is to be happy.
Wow.
I could not want anything more for her. I don't want her to suffer. I don't want that, because I believe if she's happy in her life, it'll make her a better person, and less people will have the effect that I did.
Well, when you were talking, and then I'm sure Joel's going to get to your faith, how the Lord fits into this. But it just came to me, you were trained by the best. You were trained by a real mean bully. But when you were able to come through that and experience that, you have empathy for a lot of other people.
I do.
And you really, we're going to talk about that. You can't give something that you
don't
yourself
have.
haven't been through. And unfortunately, that's a path that I'm not saying God, he allowed it for whatever reason. But, I mean, you were schooled by. So she was a good person to
She was. And
strengthen you.
many people have actually asked me this question. If you could choose to not have Tourette's, would you? And at first, I didn't know how to answer this because I remembered all the years of struggle, not just with me, but when you have someone in your family with Tourette's, the whole family takes a hit.
Yeah.
The
Everybody
parents
suffers, yeah.
spend more attention on the child with special needs
Your
and
other brothers and
whatnot.
sisters don't have it.
And it just affects the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I came up with an answer, and my answer is no. God gave me Tourette's for a reason. I used to ask God this every single day. Why did you give me Tourette's? Why make
And
me
the
suffer?
other stuff, too.
And the other stuff too. It's like the ADHD, the OCD, the social awkwardness, everything, the learning differences. And it's because he knew that I would give a voice to those who have no voice. And he knew I would help others and use this and turn it into a gift.
You sure have.
And the knowledge and what I would overcome to leave a positive impact on their life. And that's the way that I look at it. And when I mentor kids, I say, Tourette's is going to be the hardest gift you're ever given. But let me tell you, one day you will be grateful for it. And you're laughing now and saying, no, I hate this. It hurts me. No. But I'm saying Tourette's is going to make you a more empathetic person, a more understanding person, and it's going to give you a patience that you normally would not have.
Very well said. That was beautiful.
Amazing.
I know.
But
21 going on 40. Thank you. Thank
yes,
you very much.
you are. Yes, you are.
but I did want to touch on this because even through all that, you had this tragedy in your life where your father passed away. How old were you at the time?
17. It was a year after I got the law passed.
And all that you had gone through.
Well,
what happened?
it was very sudden. My dad was my best friend. Like, my heart broke in half when he died. We were very close, and we were very much alike too. So in that aspect, we had very difficult times. It was difficult for him to accept that someone so like him had Tourette's. But eventually he did, because it was my mom who accepted straight from the start. My dad was still supportive, but it was hard for him. Like any parent, it's hard to
your
accept
other
when
brothers
something's
and
wrong.
sisters don't have it.
My brother has ADHD, but that's it.
Okay.
And my world just collapsed at that moment. But let me tell you something. Before everything went under, I was given a choice by God. And this choice was, Haley, you have so much good in your life. You can drown in your sorrows and drown in a river of tears that you're crying, or rise above and look at every good thing, every blessing in your life. And that's what I chose to do. I chose to live from that moment forward.
Well, what happened to your dad?
In the year 1970, he was 18, and he and his buddies gave each other tattoos with ballpoint pen and needle. And he developed hepatitis C, but he didn't know for 39 years.
What?
And
This is kind of hard.
he got it removed. No, it's okay. He got it removed the next day. The hardest thing is, now I see these billboards. There is a cure for hepatitis C, but just 4 years ago when he died, there wasn't a cure.
What?
There is treatment, and the treatment wasn't working, so he actually went on an alternative treatment and was on a medication that made him dizzy. And we took his car away and moved his office at home. But there was a step in our backyard, and it was literally 6 inches tall, very wide. You can't fall, not even a toddler. You know how if you're holding a glass and you're falling, you drop the glass because you're falling? He didn't know he was falling. Smashed his head open. Was in the ICU for 10 days.
Did you see it? Were you there when it happened?
My brother saw it. saw it, was 10 feet away, and came rushing and came to him. And he came through, but he had, over the past 18 months, through the various treatments, had lost so much muscle mass and whatnot, he couldn't walk. He eventually, a couple weeks after he was out of the ICU, died of internal bleeding and liver and kidney failure.
Oh my goodness, Haley. How was your mom through all this?
You know, it's so hard because I'm the baby in the family, and I've always been babied. And my mom kind of put me in a bubble growing up, so I was very, very protected.
Right.
And it was like as soon as my dad died, that bubble just disappeared. So it was like in a way, of having my dad was like a huge culture shock. I mean, I didn't even have my license at that point. I didn't drive until after I was 18.
So when you say a bubble, your mother kind of just retreated in her own grief?
No. I mean, I was going to the aspect that she raised me in a bubble.
Okay.
Because the baby, the disability, so very, very protected. And so that bubble popped. She retreated into herself.
That's what I'm saying, her grief. Her
but
grief.
she also, I mean, lost the love of her life of 26 and a half years, right a few days before their anniversary. And, she broke down, my sister did, my brother did, and finally I had to be the one to step up to the plate and literally be the rock. And nobody asked me to. Nobody said, Haley, you have to. I just kind of took the place. And that's when I knew, I always knew I was nurturing, but that's when I knew this is what I'm meant to do in this world. I'm meant to help others. And that was that point, that turning point when I realized that. I mean, I loved helping, but that was when I realized, my calling in life from God. And the sad thing about having to be the rock is I never properly grieved. So I went to college 6 months later, and I literally felt like I'd been raised by a single mom because I just blocked it all out. I knew I had a dad, but it was like it wasn't there. I didn't remember him. And I can remember I did a year of college, and it was not a great fit for me in the aspect that I learned very differently. So math, I struggle a lot. It's very hard.
You're not by yourself, I tell you.
But
Van Air can do it.
Then again, I have a photographic memory. It just doesn't work in math, unfortunately. But, like, for instance, what would happen in English is we would be reading a book. And I kind of dealt with another bully. Actually, this teacher, for the first time in my life, reminded me of that teacher in 7th and 8th grade. But now I was stronger, and I knew how to handle it.
Too.
And now there was some laws. So it wasn't nearly as bad, but just she was up there. And, she literally, everybody else would be like going from here to here to here to here. And I would go from here to here. And she didn't like that. We'd be in a conversation, and I'd either kind of not mean to, but kind of dominate it because I knew everything there was and nobody else was speaking. Like it would have been different if they would have been speaking. And then when she would get mad at me for raising my hand and asking questions, I would be silent. Like, what do you want from me? And she would get mad that I wouldn't ask questions. And you can't have it both ways. And, it's very hard because I look normal on the outside, and I had the most accommodating high school that really truly worked with me and found my strengths and found ways to help teach me certain ways so that I would be the best, so I would come out and learning everything. And this school just looked at me like, oh, she's some cute redhead, oh, well, she has a doctor note that says she has Tourette's, but I don't see it. And Tourette's is very mental as well with all the other things. So even if you're not ticking on the outside, who's to say you don't have tics of the mind, or you're going through such severe OCD that every time you write a math problem, you have to erase it because you think that, oh, it's wrong, even though the first time you did it, you got it right, but you've done it 5 times and now it's wrong.
So how did this work into the grief with your dad during that time? So
was
that keeping you from being able to process?
Yeah, it was kind of, the grief, part of it is, what I'm saying is I went straight into college without properly grieving. And that was probably the worst mistake of my life. But I ended up actually remembering one of the last things my dad said to me. And that was, Haley, you need to stop pleasing others and go after your own dreams. And those words actually haunted me throughout my whole college experience. And I
Haley, I'm gonna interrupt you right there because that's what I want to leave them with.
Right.
You're
Oh.
right on track.
Sorry.
No, you're perfect.
No, you're just saying so much. I'm just pulled into your story. You know, I don't feel like.
I'm mesmerizing. I'm
Well,
a
you
witch. I'm
really
pale
are.
as a
Well,
ghost.
You know what? On that too, and then all the things that you've gone through, that you're able to sit here and laugh and smile and not be bitter and hateful and help others.
There's too much hate in the world for me
Well,
to add to it.
Are you
Ladies
going-
and gentlemen,
yeah.
this is Joy in my house. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Haley's going to be letting us know about her being the face of certain companies now and how she and her forgiveness has got her to the next level as she follows her dream, which was the advice that her father gave her to then now be a part of her ministry. This is Joy in my house, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our new show, Gospel Rhythms Talk Live. Join us as we celebrate, promote, and elevate Christians in entertainment. So don't forget to tune in to Gospel Rhythms Talk Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio under R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is Gospel Rhythms on LA Talk Live, where we don't just talk about it, we are about it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
I'm joined here by author of Shaped by the Master's Hands and my co-host, Lolita Robinson.
I tell you, every week I am ministered to and learning a lot. So how about
Same-
you?
Same here.
Jeez.
With our in-studio guest, Haley Grip. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
You know, it's a it's a privilege to be doing this show
Yeah,
and to
it
be a part of
is.
it because I had an opportunity to sit down and have dinner with her, and I got to hear the whole story.
Right.
And-
Actually, you had dinner. I had cake.
That's right.
she did.
I had dinner. She had cake.
And I had nothing. So where was it?
But it's amazing because the story is still captivating me.
Yeah,
I
really.
forget that I'm doing the show and I'm just listening. But I did want the rest of the story to finish because it's an amazing journey
Right.
that God has given you. You were a full-time nanny. You go back to school without having really grieved your father and the loss of that, because being a strong pillar for your family. But those words haunted you. Tell us those
father,
words
yeah.
one more time. What your father said to you, what you remember him saying before he passed, because he was already losing his memory of you. But there was this one point where he remembered you and he told you those words.
He did. He had at the end started to lose his mind just a little bit. And there was an instance when the last time I visited him, he was singing along, humming to the music, and he looks at me and he goes, "Haley, you need to stop pleasing others and follow your own dreams," and then goes back to humming.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Like they were direct
This
words
is direct
from God.
And what was your relationship with God? I mean, did you know him from an early age?
I did. I was born, raised Catholic. Now I consider myself non-denominational Christian.
Okay, personal walk with him.
And I have a very close relationship with God. You know, I believe that it doesn't matter what church you're in, that as long as you can talk to him and not just pray to God when you need something, but really have those moments where you can be like, "Hey God, like today I did this photo shoot and this and that, but I did take time and I remembered to show patience and kindness to the wardrobe assistant who was frazzled." Like
Right.
I make, you know, I make that time, and I think that strength there in the open communication is very good. I also live my life helping others, and that is my direct calling from God. And I believe that if I leave a positive impact on this world and can touch as many lives in a nurturing and positive way, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Oh, that's awesome. So that kind of answers that, segueing into the
Yes,
face that
because
she
she
has, or-
was, yes. Because you followed your father's advice and you went to college directly, but those words haunted you and you left for an acting career.
I did a year and nannied full time to save up, because I knew that acting is not reliable. And you know, the first thing I did was CSI.
What?
And I can say a funny story of having Tourette's on CSI. When you're like there and you're...
Were you supposed to have Tourette's on CSI?
No.
Or you just...
I just did.
You just showed up and...
When you do it and you're like lying there and you go, "Achoo!" And that was like my tick is when I sneeze. I can't believe these came off.
Mine too.
And so they're like, she resurrects. And I'm like, holla. And,
That's funny.
and
What were you playing on CSI?
a dead girl.
Oh, geez. You were
Well,
murdered?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I don't
That's
need to
funny.
laugh. Oh, my God. How do you
Anyways,
audition for that?
I don't even know. But, you know, we
Okay.
want to know, the funny thing is I am very good at playing a dead girl. It's like Lifetime, 2 episodes and then die. You know, they just love it. And I think it's something...
You died in Lifetime, too?
Yeah. And
That's
luckily
funny.
I didn't die in Hallmark.
Oh, my
I didn't
God.
die on Hallmark.
What did you do on Hallmark?
I was Antonio Sabeto Jr. and Shannon Doherty's niece.
Oh, how beautiful.
Well, I wanted to
Look at
touch on that
this.
because within 15 months, you did 12 commercials. You were on CSI Las Vegas. You had a reoccurring role on Lifetime on their TV series.
Look at you.
And you also walked runway for LA Fashion Week and New York Fashion Week.
That's true.
How'd you do on that one, lady?
Well, yeah, I'm 5'4". Like,
I'm looking at you. You know what? I guess God said, look, you went through a lot of training. He
yeah. Well,
started opening
actually,
doors for
this
you.
fall was really crazy. I walked back to back. I walked.
What's
LA,
that like at New York modeling?
A lot tougher than LA.
Oh, I bet. Is that the one who came up and was telling everybody how awful they were?
Well, I did LA Fashion Week and then flew straight to New York for New York Fashion Week. And I'm actually, the coordinator of the event contacted me and was like, so this and that. And I was like talking to her and I said, you know, I'm an anti-bullying advocate and I've spoken to over 40,000 people. And she's like, really? And so I ended up sharing my story with her, a 10-minute version. And she's like, okay, we got to get you, can you like make this like 8 minutes? I want you to, and I'm the first ever person to ever share an anti-bullying story on New York Fashion Week.
Oh, you're kidding.
That is amazing.
With the media?
Uh-huh.
Different, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
And,
you were actually walking the runway?
Yeah. And it was funny because
Well,
also
who
while
was
I
you-
was giving
who
my
were
speech,
you walking, girl? Was it
well, it was actually for
whose clothes were you?
I was like wearing Guess, but it wasn't for the Guess fashion show. It was
Okay.
for a specific magazine, their
Oh.
magazine's fashion show, Golden Magazine,
Okay.
and it's like this up and coming trend setting thing. So there are all these bloggers and everything, and I was so nervous. But it was actually an incredible experience for that, and
I guess so.
yeah.
What?
It
Wow.
was, and you know, there was like a kids line for one of them, and I can remember all the kids coming up to me after, and it was more of their parents who had heard the story because the kids were backstage, and they all like thought I was a celebrity, which is hysterical in its
Well,
own
you
right.
are.
I mean, I am.
Yeah, you are.
A little morsel, but I just. Like, I believe my helping others is more important than
Oh, yeah, it is.
any role I could book. And so, actually, if I'm at an event, you know, people are like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a chef. I actually am. I'm a vegetarian chef. I'm like, I'm a chef and an anti-bullying advocate. And then they're like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, and I'm also really good at dying on TV.
Well, I want more people to find out
That
more
is
information about you.
amazing.
Where? Let us know your Twitter
Yeah.
page, your Facebook,
course.
your Instagram.
Twitter is at Haley Grip, HayleyGripp. Instagram is at Haley Grip _official. Facebook is at actress Haley Elizabeth Grip. YouTube, which I'm working on, I don't really post there, but it's hgrip11. And my website is HaleyElizabethGrip.com. And, I always answer every single email.
Your competition.
So when people who have dealt with bullying or need a slice of hope or anything, my
You
email
blog
is
too?
on that. Yeah, I'm actually launching a blog in June, which is very exciting. I've also got 2 major events that charity events that I'm hosting coming up. The first is one that there's no press there and I don't care. I just want to give back, and it's at the Covenant House Hollywood in May, and I'm hosting a cooking workshop for the teens.
Look
And
at
then
this.
the second one will be August 29th. I'd love to have you there. I'm hosting a girls empowerment workshop with a place called Home, and we're going to have amazing women speakers come and empower all the girls at the center ages 13 to 18. And then we're also going to have a bunch of makeup artists come in, give these girls a makeover, and, well, if they want one, or it's more of enhancing. It's more of
Right.
enhancing, not really changing who they are, because I don't want that. And then they'll be able to be styled by a celebrity stylist and have a mock photo shoot where their parents will receive an amazing portrait. And then when they go home, they'll actually receive a swag bag with, we have multiple brands wanting to sponsor, and then each bag will also have empowering letters from powerful women. And it's really about showing these kids. I mean, many of these kids are told that they'll, never go to college or this and that. And of course, the center actually has a 90% success rate in getting these kids in East LA to college.
Oh my goodness.
And it's really the preventative for keeping them off of the streets. It's for parents who don't have aftercare or whatnot.
Aftercare.
Yeah.
Well, I plan. You know what? I don't show up to a lot of things. There's only about 2.
I would love for you to
I'm
come.
coming to that one.
Yeah.
Unless last time I fell and I was out of commission.
Well,
so God willing.
If that happens, we'll
Okay.
well, I don't want to get you an Uber. I'll hire a driver.
I'm coming. I'm serious.
I know, but
I've only
I'm
been to,
saying
two.
if
Now,
you're
he
in a
goes to
wheelchair,
everything.
I gotta think
Okay,
this
no,
through.
I don't wanna be- I just got out of
no,
the
no, no,
wheelchair.
no. If you're in a wheelchair, I gotta think this through. Do they
No,
make
you're the
handicapped
God
Ubers?
lady.
Do they make handicapped Ubers? Like, where we can get the motor scooter in?
We might be, but I'm
maybe
gonna
we can
walk
like
in.
make a deal with Target and borrow a motor scooter.
You listen. You got
With your
connections.
Well, Haley, I want to thank you for coming on
Thank
the
you
show.
so much for having me.
You've
awesome.
spoken in over
Awesome.
40,000 for over 40,000 people. You're the ambassador and advocate for Tourette Syndrome Association. You've hosted your very first red carpet event for your anti-bullying campaign. I'm looking forward to the second annual one. You have overcome Tourette syndrome by forgiving your bullies and have had much success in your acting and modeling career. The show is called Joy in My House. The premise is the joy that we have in our house regardless of our challenges or in our praise. What would joy in my house mean to you, especially in today's day and age and everything that you've come from and everything that you're doing now? What does joy in my house mean to you now?
Family. My family is my life, but also I surround myself with positive people. I choose who I work with and who I surround myself with. So my friends, to me, my friends are family, and my family is world. And I would like to leave this interview saying one last thing, and that's my life motto, and it's live to love and love to live, because life is worth living. And my best advice is it's never too late to say I'm sorry, but it's also never too late to say I forgive you.
Wow.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Haley Grip on Joy in My House. I want you to catch us live every Sunday here at noon with life-changing stories of hope and inspiration and talent that will inspire you. This is Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have a great week. Tune in with us next week.